Oh boy. So I've been watching Agatha along with Only Murders in the Building, and I wasn't thinking much about it. I didn't think I had anything to say. Like, I was watching it purely. I was so mad at WandaVision. Like, I was so disappointed by WandaVision, I should say, that like, when they announced this and changed the titles and whatever, I was just like, yeah, whatever. So when they finally released it, I went, okay, I'm gonna watch it as something to watch. I've got Disney Plus, I may as well. I'm only watching it because I've already got Disney Plus for Only Murders in the Building, and then I won't invest in it. I won't worry about where the plot's going. I don't care. I'll just watch it as something that's on in the background, whatever. And the first episode was, in my opinion, pretty terrible. Like they were all doing over the top cop parody, and we get that it's a a TV show, so it's fake, and we know it's fake. But it was so over the top fake that I was sort of sitting there going, well, there's cognitive dissonance because we know this isn't real. They're trying to do the WandaVision thing, but then they're like, who died? Who died? And it's like, it's obviously Wanda. And then it's like, who am I? Who am I? Well, you're Agnes. It's in the title. You're Agnes. We know. Like, you already did the Agatha all along in WandaVision, and people knew then that it was Agatha Harkness. Like, you've already done this twist. So, thank God the first episode. Oh, spoilers, by the way, because I'm going to go through the entire show right now. So, 3, 2, 1. Where was I? Yes, thank God that they, by the end of the first episode, reveal that it's Agatha. And I was torn because, like, let's say in Only Murders in the Building, I enjoyed Mabel and her girlfriend. Trying to think of the other examples, but like, so when this show said that, I'm gonna forget her name, and I can't believe I'm forgetting her name, the actress behind Death, because my brain keeps thinking Agatha, and I'm like, it's another A name, and I keep getting tripped up by that. But it's I'm thinking too many things at once. They do a whole bunch of stuff with Agatha and Rio, and it's overtly sexual in that way that I watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch remake and hated it because I'm a big fan of the old sitcom one. So it was probably just too different. But then, like, Sabrina's aunt, Zelda hits Helga with a shovel and buries her in the backyard. And that bothered me. I just went, no, Zelda would never do that. And that's where it might have just been too different. But it was so gothic, violent, but in a, like, Sabrina was, the guys were trying to hit on Sabrina, so they magically made them get sexual, like, and it was just uncomfortable, right? Like, it's a teenage girl show, and it was so, gothic equals sexual, that, like, I have no issue with a show talking about sexual things or being sexual, but it was the mix of the two that, I wish I could remember her name, because it's gonna bother me. It's like, yeah, and I know everyone else is gonna know it. So, but the amount of things, like when Agatha was transforming into herself by going, oh, it's hot in here, I was like, when the actress said that there's going to be a gay explosion, it's one thing to be like, there's going to be a gay relationship in this show, cool, good on you, but another thing for them to then, like, overtly be like, oh, Agatha's transformation is sexual, and Rio stabbing her with a knife is sexual. And I, like, I'm sure there are plenty of people who enjoy the, uh, you know, the I don't know if we can say these words on YouTube, but like there are some areas of the sexual community that are going to be perfectly okay with that, enjoy that, but like for me it was just a bit too much, and I feel like it's just because we don't know these characters, and I'm already imagining the Sabrina thing where it just felt toxic and uncomfortable, and and just overt in a way that I wasn't actually sure if they were trying to sell us a relationship between these two or not. Like it didn't feel like it was, or it felt like it was purposely sexual, but purposely sexual in a way that they didn't actually know how to write a gay relationship, and instead were just writing gothic, you know, 50 Shades of Grey type stuff. But it wasn't even clearly a 50 Shades of Grey type scene. It was one character trying to kill another character. And I mean, there's the Buffy sort of thing of like it's gothic and they're rivals, but it really just felt like, I don't know. I don't like, maybe it's me as well. I don't like bloody stuff. So like Rio cutting her hand and being like, ooh, sexual. I'm like, no. So it's sort of that. It's like mixing the blood magic gothic stuff with the sexuality, and it bothered me in Sabrina as well. So that the first episode kind of put me off, and I do feel like it was actually more just the dialogue. Like they could have made it sexually metaphoric, but the dialogue was just too on the nose smut in that way. Again, it's like I have no issue with any of these elements individually, but together I was just like, yeah, okay, we get it. Like it was more just I when they say a gay explosion, I assume that's like the payoff at the end and they're gonna build a relationship. And if instead they're just gonna be like, oh, your blood turns me on type thing. No. So it wasn't just that scene. It was like all the Agatha doing the cop voice and things. It felt so, I guess, poorly done. Like it was intentionally fake. It was intentionally sexual, but it was all sort of hammed up to the point where I wasn't invested and wasn't enjoying it. And I'm saying this from someone who was already going, I'm not going to invest in any mystery they show me because, like, straight up, Force Awakens, WandaVision, like, I'm at a point where fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. Like, I am sick of the slow burn mystery. So this show comes along, and its whole first episode is, whoa, is Agatha stuck in a TV show? And I just sort of went, please don't do this again. And then they didn't, but I was sort of like, okay, I'll watch the second episode because they're both out. And if I'm not going to invest in the mystery, but if I enjoy the second episode, I'll keep watching for the sake of it. Like, I'm perfectly willing to enjoy this on a superficial level. And the second episode really did intrigue me. Like, the whole quest for the Witch's Road. That was really cool. So I was sucked in enough by the second episode that I sort of ignored the first episode. Then let me check the episode order again. So yeah, the first episode was just cringe to me. The second episode I really liked. The third episode was where I sort of went, oh, they're gonna do like a trial with each of them. Okay, cool. I get that. And there was sort of like something nagging at me that like, again, I'm trying to enjoy this just on surface level, but I think I was validated in that watching each episode, I was like, it's going to be episodic. They go through a trial. We learn some backstory about each character, and that's it. So good thing I'm not trying to invest and going, where's the rest of it? Because that's all there's meant to be. That's all they're going to offer. So, okay, cool. We're just going to enjoy each trial as a thing. And then, but it started to annoy me. Like, I was enjoying it enough, but I really was watching Only Murders in the Building going, wow, this show's really fun. And then watching Agatha all along and going, and this is also here. So the I think it was it episode 3 or 4? I'm already forgetting, where Mrs. Hart dies. And again, it was sort of this feeling of, she was annoying me. Actually, thinking back, because I was like, well, that's something. We see that they can die, and it's not just going to be episodic. There is a stake to it, and we don't know who will make it to the end. But at that point, I sort of went, is this just going to be run-of-the-mill? They do a trial, and each time one of them dies. Luckily, it wasn't that, but it wasn't much more than that. But we'll get there. So, I think it was episode 4, they introduced the song, and at that point I went, okay, they're just trying to... I don't hate the song, I don't love the song, it's just... like, they're just repeating down, down. We have Coles, and their ad is down, down, prices are down. So it's like, it's just doing that rhythm. And it's fine, I guess. Like, this... For a while, I was enjoying this show as comfortably mid. Like, just... like, and not bad, just... like, there were definitely bad bits, but, like, enough that I'd watch it, go, that was something, I guess. Like, just something to pass the time. It didn't need to be deep, just something to pass the time. But I definitely wasn't having as much fun with it as I was Only Murders in the Building. And that's what I think was lacking. So I was going, that's fine, I'm not going to invest in the depth and the layers. I'm not going to get fooled by some plot twist. I'm just going to enjoy the fun of it, and it wasn't that fun either. But it wasn't entirely boring either, straight up average. And I'm emphasizing that because I then think it went up and down simultaneously. So, you got a few episodes where they're just plodding along, and it does feel a bit padded only because they have a ensemble cast. But then the show's called Agatha all along, so she's the main character. And then you've got Teen, who's a mystery, and I just went, you're not getting me, I'm not bothering. Like that, who is this character? Well, tell me who he is, and then maybe I'll care. Don't spend 5 episodes not telling me who he is, and then go, he's Mephisto all along. So what? I didn't get to know this character until you said that. Like that, that sort of thing. So I was sort of looking at it like, well, we're getting to know each character. But if Agatha's meant to be the main character, she's not doing anything. And then Teen is sort of doing things, and she's got a relationship with him. So that's interesting. But then, because we don't know who he is or what he wants, that's also not interesting. So you see how I was constantly sort of going, there's a thing here, and I'm almost invested, and like I just didn't want to get baited by a long drawn out mystery, but I was happy to enjoy the characters and relationships, and I was getting little bits of it. And we had the episode where they explored Agatha, and I went, that's interesting, but then it's sort of like, well, we already knew from WandaVision that her mother tried to kill her. So, like, the problem again is we're not developing these characters with their relationships to other people in the room. We're just spending an episode on each character's backstory. And then getting to the end of the episode and going, okay, now my comprehension has gone up. But that makes it semi-intellectually interesting and not emotionally or physically interesting. Like, I wasn't feeling the physical thrill of, where's this going? And I wasn't feeling the emotional thrill of like, oh man, are Agatha and Teen gonna get along? Because for the most part, it just kept being Agatha does some mugging and antagonizes people, and Teen's like, we want to be good and help people. And then the rest of the cast are like, we are also here. And it just sort of, like, it just stopped short of development. They developed their backstories, but backstory is only there to inform a character's motivations, and then you develop the characters. So, I don't know, there was stuff to go on, but it felt kind of thin and shallow, and plain. And so we're sort of waiting to get to Teen's backstory, because that's the problem. If we don't know who he is or what he wants, he's characterful, like he had a personality. My problem then being that when they reveal that he's Wanda's child, and I'm already going, wait, what, how? Again, I then have that gut instinct of, no, I don't want to know, I don't care. I'm not interested in how, whoa, what a mystery, how did he come back to life? You know what? Magic, who cares? Just develop the characters and their relationships, please. I love a good mystery. I'm just sick of the mystery box where every episode ride or dies on, who is this character? And not who are they deep down as a person in their soul. Just, what is their name? Oh, my name is Agnes. What is their true name? Agatha. And what did Agatha do? She killed a dog. Did she? No. Ralph reveals in this show that actually she didn't do that. Like, so, who is Ralph Boner? Some actor. He's Ralph Boner. His full name is, like, they just keep doing this thing of, what character is this? And then they reveal who the character is, and you go, okay, I comprehend it now. And I'm sick of that kind of mystery box, where the mystery doesn't unfold and make you go, oh my god, that means the thing, and then like, oh no, that means Agatha betrayed Teen all along, or oh no, that means Teen, I don't know, actually didn't, like, there's no actually, it's worse than you thought. It's just, oh, he's Wanda's child. Now what? And ironically, once he was like, I want my brother back, I was like, okay, now I comprehend what his motivation is. That's interesting in hindsight. I like to watch back and figure out why he's doing what he's doing. But I comprehend his motivation, and I still don't fully care. Like, I care he wants his brother back, but his brother isn't here. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hypothetical, abstract thing over there. That's a great end goal, but like, what's he trying to do right now? And that's where it should have really been, Teen wants to learn from Agatha how to resurrect his brother. Or, like, you had the thing of Agatha lost her child, so she wants to connect with Teen and, like, make that back, redeem that. But then they just really kept, like, not developing Agatha's bond with him, and she kept just mugging and antagonizing. And then by the time we get to, I'm jumping ahead. So by episode 6, we figure out who Teen is. And then episode 7, they completely jump to the other lady, who's also interesting. Like, her whole thing of she was actually jumping around timelines is interesting in hindsight. But they revealed who Billy is. And then instead of developing that, they went, and here's who the lady is. And I was watching it going, wait, what's happening? She's jumping around to different... Oh, okay. Again, I comprehend intellectually why she was doing what she was doing. But by having every character here has like a secret agenda, and then you reveal what the secret agenda is, but then they die. So why should I care? And it's not to say I was bored or I didn't care entirely. Just that by it's the same problem with WandaVision, by withholding all of the information until the end, and then eventually saying, oh, they really wanted this emotional thing the whole time. And you go, oh, okay, cool, now I want to see them go after that. But then it goes, and another twist. Okay, what's the other twist? Well, the other lady was having flashbacks and can teleport through time. Right. Okay, I get that. But what's happening with Teen and the things? And also, the other lady was deaf. Okay, I comprehend that. But what's going on with Teen and Agatha? Like, it just kept... Like, it was so hell-bent on doing the twists and the setup and the payoffs that I appreciate those are there. Because, like, with WandaVision, it was like, oh, they keep mentioning the devil. Is Mephisto around? Nope. Oh, well then, was Agatha all along? Well, we kind of knew it was Agatha, but maybe she planned it all along and she created the hex. Nope. Well, maybe, oh wait, it was Wanda and she actually was grieving and, oh, I could have spent this whole show developing and feeling like caring for Wanda as she grieved and was in denial, and we could have watched the like the dramatic irony of of Wanda grieving, and we know that she created the hex, but no one there knows she created the hex, and we feel bad for Vision because we know what's going on and he doesn't, and instead they're just like, what's going on, until the end of the last episode, in which we finally comprehend why Wanda is doing what she's doing. But then what was the point of Agatha, and what was the point of Ralph Boner, and like, it leans so hard on the mystery that you never get to know the characters properly. Because they're all withholding their characters from you, the viewer. But then we get to episode 9. We get to episode 8, because they revealed that Rio was deaf. And then I was so thrown off by episode 7. Intellectually interesting in hindsight. Like, it'd be great to rewatch it and watch her react to stuff and go, oh, okay. But you see how they've not told us the foundation of the story, so that we're confused and lost. And then later have told us the foundation of the story. So now we understand the premise. But we're not invested in the story. I hope that makes sense. Because I'm sure people are enjoying, like, just Agatha and Rio's dynamic, or Teen and Agatha's dynamic. There's enough there that it's not like they're all flat cardboard cutouts who are standing in a room. They all have personalities and characters. It's just that all of those characters and their motivations and their character-defining choices are buried behind mystery. And by the time we have all the information, we actually get an interesting bonding between Agatha and Teen. But by that point, even the other witch was like, oh, you took my powers? What? Oh, like, again, plot twist. But, like, by that point I was just questioning, Agatha has done nothing to gain their trust. And they keep wanting to keep her around. And I get that there's like a conceit with the trial itself. Like, the road itself demands they all remain, even though half of them have died. They're still like, yeah, but we need you for the road. We need you for the road. But, like, you would just think at some point Agatha would budge, because she became such an annoying stasis character that was just like, I'm evil. But, like, she doesn't actively do any evil things because she can't. She has to wait for them to blast her. But then she also doesn't help. Like, even when they're doing the prophecy thing, the cards, the tarots, the Teen's like, we need to actually figure this out. And she's like, I'm just going to slap cards on the table. And, like, at that point I was like, Agatha, you're incompetent. You're unlikable. And what's the third one with Brandon Sanderson's 30 Things? And you're passive. Like, you're just starting to annoy me as a character. So then episode 9 was really interesting, because episode 8 ended on a cliffhanger, and I actually thought this could save the show for me. Because when Billy was like, oh my god, it was me, I was like, oh, yeah, because I mean, when the cliffhanger happened, that's pretty much what I figured out. But then episode 9 started with Agatha's backstory. And again, this is the problem. We've been told all along that Agatha lost her child. Yes, showing it gives us more empathy and pity towards her, but we haven't seen her do anything active in real time. So it's like, oh, poor Agatha. The thing they said happened. But she's still being horrible. She's still not helping the group. She's still getting in the way. She's still getting everybody killed. And then they did an interesting reveal with, well, actually, Billy killed them because he created the road. But it was Agatha's con and Agatha's lie, and You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of good stuff here. There's a lot of interesting points. It's like interesting plot development, but it's not connecting back to the characters. Like, we're seeing Billy wreck himself with guilt because he created the road and got people killed. And that's great stuff. But then Agatha comes back as a ghost. And I was just like, so when he turned around and she was like, boo, when they had the cliffhanger, I thought what they were doing was showing this backstory of how she sacrificed her son. And then Billy was going to turn around and, per the title, it was Agatha all along. Like, he was going to turn around and she'd be like, haha, I betrayed you all. And at least I'd be like, okay, it explains why she wasn't helping anybody, because she wanted them all to fail. And she sort of still did. But at that point, they either needed to commit to her being a villain or commit to her redemption arc. And episode 8 was still trying to do Billy thinks she's betraying him, but she's really not. But then episode 9, she's like, oh, I didn't do it for you. And I'm like, yeah, no, I got that. It was a selfish thing. You were doing it to redeem yourself because you want your child back. But it still feels like they just couldn't commit to an arc for Agatha. So she just sat on the fence of chaotic evil until she's a ghost, and the ghost animation was very distracting. So it just, like, I don't know. I like, Billy went from like vague characterization, huge personality, but just vague character motivations and stuff. And then once they revealed his character, he became very glum. And I get why, because he misses his brother, and he's very sad about that. But he went from very positive, very friendly to bland. Like, all of that personality just washed away. So I get that that's like the mask dropping and that's his true feelings. But at that point, it's kind of going, okay, so is Teen now driving the plot? Because Agatha was meant to be doing that and kind of wasn't. And we've lost most of the characters we were putting episodic episodes to. So I guess Billy's now in the driver's seat of the story. So I get that makes sense then. If it's not Agatha having a redemption arc, it's Agatha egging him on to do good or evil or whatever. But then she's a ghost, and then I've actually forgotten what happened. Because, like, just her being a ghost was like, okay, I thought you were going to do something really cool here where Agatha faked her death and tricked Billy all along per the title. But no, she's just like, I'm hanging out and doing my shtick. And I hate her shtick. She's useless. And I know that sounds harsh, but, like, your main character is not very interesting. Catherine, is it Catherine Hahn or Catherine DeHaan? But the actress behind it, amazing. She's giving it her all, and there are a lot of good moments because of her. But Agatha as a character is just like, well, I'm an evil witch. And that's the whole gag. Like, she actually has no real motivation, or, like, she lost her son, and they play on that whenever they want an emotional moment, but it's an emotional moment. Like, it's artificially, it's not consistent with her motivation. She spends a lot of time just sabotaging everyone and messing around and being like a Joker chaotic character. And then out of nowhere, they'd be like, but she lost her child, so you should feel bad about her. And it's like, yeah, I feel sorry for her, but, like, you know, it's that thing of it, we understand, but it doesn't justify. And it just reaches a point where Agatha, help out or go away. So, yeah, I don't know. And then they have Agatha seemingly sacrifice herself for Billy. I got that she was doing it for a child. So I already wasn't going, oh, wow, she got redeemed. I was going, it's still kind of selfish. So in a way, I'm glad the 9th episode acknowledged that. But it does also take away from any effect it was supposed to have, because now she's a comedic ghost. The ghost thing took away from sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. when Agatha kisses Rio, I flash back to the actress behind Rio saying, the name's going to come back to me any minute now, saying that there's going to be a gay explosion. So when she kisses Death, I sort of went, that's what you meant? You have two evil characters kissing each other, and then one of them dies? That's what you meant by a gay explosion? Oh, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, because it sort of implied that there was going to be an actual gay relationship. And even Billy says in the next episode, go, either help me out or go back to your toxic relationship. So, like, that's the problem, I guess. I guess, there's nothing saying they can't do a toxic relationship. But, like, really? You do all this celebratory marketing for a show that she picked this role because she wanted a gay explosion, but it's a kiss between two evil, chaotic characters, and then one of them dies because of it? That just feels uncomfortable. I don't know what to make of that. And also just like, then we have Agatha in the next episode being like, please, my love, don't kill my baby. And I'm like, again, what's the message here? You're in love with the woman who wants to steal or murder your baby. Metaphorically or literally, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. That makes me straight up uncomfortable. And there's nothing wrong with feeling uncomfortable in a drama. It's just like, what is this show actually trying to achieve, I guess, at the end of the day? Because I figured it was just going to be some light entertainment. And it actually went for it. And that made it more interesting. And actually gave me something I wanted to talk about. But on the same hand, I kind of want to talk about how it was so hit and miss. That it's like, I'm being harsh, but I'm not like, this show sucks, get it. It is like, this show actually did try for something. And its failures are just as interesting as its successes. Like, there are parts of this that I'm like, I'm frustrated because I want to feel things, and I'm sort of just like, oh man, I almost did, but it's not in a way of like, it's not like WandaVision where I feel baited and cheated, and then I'm just angry that I cared at all. It's more like, I went in with low expectations. Some parts of it actually gave me higher expectations. Like, there were parts that I actually wanted to invest in, and I think I did get invested in some of it. But it's at the end of the day very messy, and I'm not mad at that, because it's messy parts. It's show intent. They show thought. All these setups and payoffs. At the very least. Like, again, with WandaVision, it felt like one giant tease, and then the answer was Ralph Boner. Whereas here, it felt like less of a tease, because they were at least going into characters' backstories. It wasn't entirely, who's behind it all. I guess also there was more than one mystery. It wasn't just, is Rio death? Yes. Like, it wasn't just that. But then even with, like, episode 7, with the hindsight stuff, it wasn't just, Rio was death all along. It's like, oh no, if you watch it back, there are hints and stuff. The Rio death one, most people figured out. I mean, the second they were doing the Ouija board, and they're like, who's here? And they're like, death. And then she laughs. I was like, well, she's death. Like, so, yeah, some of the mysteries were obvious, but there were enough of them that I think this show, like, both suffers emotionally for having leaned on so hard on so many mysteries, but at the same time, enough of them and enough legwork with enough of them that they're not, like, awful. They don't just lead to nothing. They are built to, they are set up, they are paid off. I just think it's missing that, like, emotional core and drama in between, where, like, we don't know a thing, then we learn a thing, decent mystery, but that's kind of it. And it's like, what we need is the real banter character conflicts in between. And again, there's a difference between Agatha antagonizing everyone in a sense of annoying them and sabotaging the tasks, and genuine conflict that helps them learn things. Like the trials kind of, we learned things about their backstory, but not about their character, if that makes sense. Like if there's 3 levels of character dynamic, you got the first level, which is personality. They've all got that to an extent. We can tell who they are. Like if you just heard their voice, you'd be able to know which character that was. And you hear Agatha's voice, you go, oh, that's that cackling witch lady who messes with people. And like we sort of know what she's about. And then the second level is their backstory and their motivations. So we're kind of getting that of like, oh, the one lady feels cursed, but then she redeems her mother's song and takes the curse away. Cool. But then there's that third layer of like, what do they do under pressure? And half of them die during their tasks or quests or whatever. So like we're learning their backstory, and then the buck stops short of that. So it's not just one layer deep where they're all kooky characters with personality and that's it. There is a second layer in that they all have secret agendas, but those secret agendas don't often always lead to like strong character choice. And seeing them make mistakes, seeing them learn, seeing them be challenged to make different choices. And so Agatha's an interesting case because you get to episode 9 when they've cut it off, and that the episode sequence is a bit weird too, because by ending episode 8 on a cliffhanger where Billy realizes what the road actually is, by cutting to Agatha's child backstory for so long was a mistake to me. Because I was sitting there going, this is such an emotional sequence. I'm really enjoying episode 9, surprisingly. Just because, WandaVision, as soon as I see Agatha get her powers back, the fact that she had the same costume and everything, I just sort of went, here we go, here's going to be the shooty blasty finale. And they sort of did that in episode 8, like, oh, yep, they're shooting each other with purple and green, wow. Well, you certainly know how to CGI some energy blasts. Woo. Riveting. But then, like, episode 8 felt like such a finale. Like, it felt like the typical Marvel finale, that episode 9 is almost interesting just by not doing the typical finale. They got rid of all that in episode 8. And then episode 9 was actual emotional drama. Who would have thought? Like, end it with actual character development instead of pew pew shooty shooty. But like by ending it on Billy's cliffhanger, it's fine to cut away to something for a little bit, so we're going, what happened with Billy? What happened with Billy? But then they spent so much time with Agatha being like, I will lose you, my child, and I am very sad. And I went, that is sad. I feel bad for her. But also she's spent like 8 episodes being annoying and being trolly. So again, I feel bad for her backstory, but I was almost watching that whole sequence going, this is such good stuff. What's the point though? Like, where's this going? Is the question. Like, so I was constantly distracted and cognitive dissonance. Because like with episode 1, I get what they're doing, I get what they're setting up, I get why they're telling us what they're telling us. Agatha's still stuck in Copland. But I'm sitting there going, yeah, but where is this going? What's the point? Why are we here? And not because I'm like, hurry up, get to the thing I want to do. Like, straight up, because they ended with the Billy cliffhanger, they have to know that we're all sitting on that, because that's a cliffhanger. Like, the tension is hanging on what happened to Billy, where is he, what's he doing, why is he doing it? The longer you cut to anything else, the longer the tension becomes, yeah, but what happened to Billy? So initially I thought, okay, they're going to like do a twist thing, and maybe it's just this child was Billy all along, and she said he reincarnated over and over again, so maybe her child did become Billy, and then like Billy became Wanda's child, and it became this like mix of she hates him because he's Wanda's child, but loves him because he's her child. Like they could have done any manner of plot reveal at that point, but the fact that they said, yeah, he said, "Oh, it was me," and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so he created the road. Maybe he did a hex like Wanda did, but the longer they just kept on with Agatha going, "Oh, I hope I don't lose my child," and then she loses a child, and then they cut back to Billy. I was like, oh, so that was a really long sequence where they got us to pity Agatha with something we already knew. So again, it's not bad, but it made it feel padded. Because it feels like they couldn't cut straight back to Billy. They didn't have enough content. They wanted to elaborate on Agatha's thing, but at that point they could have just showed that at the start. Make that the first moment of your episode. But then they can't do all the, well, if they show you the premise straight away, then they can't tease you with it. So the big problem being they can't give you all the information to build on. They can't give you foundations when they're supposed to give you foundations, because that's all they've got. So even though all the twists were built up, all the twists were relying on us not understanding what the actual story was. And like part of that is like how twists work. But it just changes it from, like they give us the foundations, but there's a twist to it. As opposed to, no, they just straight up don't tell us why Agatha's doing things. And then eventually go, oh yeah, it's because she lost her son. And then when we've already understood that comprehensively and we're waiting for them to build on that dramatically, they just show it again, but longer. And it's like, yeah, cool, no, that is going deeper into that. But we're not actually learning anything new. We're not getting anywhere further with that. And then we cut back to Billy, so that didn't actually directly affect anything. And then it's just an editing thing. The scene itself is good. But where it's placed, the episode it's placed, the timing in the episode it's placed, just means when we do eventually get round to, and because we already did episode 8 where Agnes sacrificed herself for Billy, and it's clear that it's because of her dead son, so we already get the emotional motivation behind her son dying. Like it's weird to then do a flashback after the fact and be like, yes, her son did indeed die. And it's like, yeah, no, we know that. We knew that. Like, imagine if episode 9 had cut when Billy goes, it was me, I did it. And then they cut to him and Billy in WandaVision. And it's like, yeah, no, we already know that they were in WandaVision. We already know that he's Billy. Like, it just sort of, it doesn't, it's not that it doesn't add anything, it just adds it at the wrong time. So, yeah. And then we get back to Billy, and Billy's trying to banish Agnes as a ghost, and that's where it felt too comedy. Like, it felt so slapsticky. Of like, I'm banishing you, you're a ghost, and she's like, what? No. Like, I was waiting for her to do an actual, like, dramatic beg, like, no, I need you, or no, I'm not done yet, I need my son back, or whatever. Like, and she did say, I can't face him. But I'm like, well, okay. I don't know. And then I have actually forgotten what happened here, but somehow Agatha came back to life. What happened? I've completely forgotten how that happened. So that's already, like, I literally just watched it. And I'm already like, and somehow Agatha is back, and then him and Agatha, wait, maybe she's still a ghost when they walk through the thing. But then he and Agatha walk through a door, and she's like, let's go get Tommy back. And then it just ends. Why? Because at that point I'm like, okay, it's sort of, I guess, the A-plot of Agatha wanted her powers back and she got that, but the A-plot, if Agatha is the main character, I guess she got her powers back. So the plot resolved technically. But it's that 3 layers of plot thing where, like, the external conflict resolved in that Agatha got her powers back and confronted death, and but the internal conflict of her wanting to kill everybody and get her powers back. I mean, I guess, yeah, that too supposedly happened because Billy willingly gave her her powers back. But, like, really, the internal, she said she can't confront her son. Well, surely that's the thing she's trying to do. Like, or she needed to help Billy win, which I guess she did. You know what I mean? Like, it feels thin. It feels almost there, but not quite. Because it's just, and the philosophical conflict of, yeah, she lost her son, felt bad about it, died for it, and then came back to life, and the show was like, and then they went on to do other things. Does her dying for Billy redeem her towards her son? Because if so, she should have. No, because then Billy is like, no, go away, you ghost. But then they join back together. Like, I like the line where Billy and Agatha said, you know, I tend to kill my coven. He said, yeah, me too. Like, that's the bonding I was looking for. But it felt like last minute bond. Like, it resolved, but it didn't feel entirely real. Like, by this point, if I was Billy, I wouldn't trust Agatha. But it's not there, you know? It's like C grade. It's average. It's not bad. It's there technically. It's just not, like, fully resolved in that Agatha really turned around and saved Billy. She said it was for her. She said it was for her own guilt. But then doesn't want to confront her son, so just avoids that, and the show ends. And then Billy wanted to save Tommy. We didn't know that for 6 episodes. And then when we finally know that, he keeps going with what he was doing. So we comprehend it, but it changes context, but it doesn't change, like, much about how he goes about things. It wasn't like reveal that he wants that, because that's for us, right? They're revealing information for us, but it's not really revealing a change in his behavior. It's like he has new powers now, but that's not the same thing as it's not like he reveals he wants Tommy back in the process of changing his mind on how he's gonna approach that. So when it gets to the end and they're like, let's go find Tommy, and then the show just ends, I was like, if Agatha is the main character, she didn't do much, and then last minute is like, yeah, no, I want to be good, I guess. Like, not quite, but I don't think the show wants to fully redeem her. They want her to be like this anti-hero type. But just her sacrificing herself for Billy, then taking back why she did it, but then being like, oh, you know, you remind me of him. It's like, yeah, they kind of got there. They kind of got there. It's decent. But, yeah, I don't know. If not for the other characters where they explored their backstories, but were they actually necessary in the story, except for Agatha to want to have killed? Like, I almost feel like they padded it and took time up that could have been spent on Agatha and Billy, and there could have been more depth provided for Agatha and Billy's relationship. So when push comes to shove, they're technically, by the end of it, they're both the main character. But Agatha wants her powers back and does the sort of change where she wants to save Billy, and Billy wants Tommy back and never gets it. That's what's bothering me. It's like, well, we didn't know what Teen wanted, and then suddenly we did know what he wanted, and then Agatha died and his plot took over, but then his plot didn't resolve. So the editing of this is very confused for, like, letting Agatha stay the main character all along and not just, like, have her real finale resolution in episode 8, but then episode 9 be entirely a flashback, while we then cut to Billy, the new main character, who then doesn't get what he gets what he wants, and then he revives Tommy, but he doesn't know where he is. So you know what I mean? Like, it's not there. It's like, fair enough if you want to say, well, no, his main desire was to revive Tommy, and he did that. You know, it's for the next, you know, and then they lived happily ever after, in the sense, like, you don't have to resolve everything. It's just, we can imagine how he goes finds him. Well, that's for the sequel, but it felt like sequel bait to me. It didn't feel like a lingering, like, there's no place like home. Like, Dorothy goes back home and that part's resolved. We don't need to know what her life on the farm was like after that. But that's because her actual, like, quest was resolved. Whereas ending it on a straight up, well, we brought Tommy back, we don't know where he is. So, let's go have another adventure. Just sort of makes me feel like, I don't know, you could have at least revealed where he is, and then say, okay, and they went off to get him. And if there's no sequel after this, we get where they went, and they probably found him, and you can imagine the rest. Whereas we don't know where he is, it feels like a new secret setup. It feels like a new mystery built last minute. It feels too open-ended for it to be a proper resolution, I think is what it is. Like, I like to say the top spinning in Inception is open-ended, but the quest of whether Cobb lets his wife go or not is close-ended. So we go, okay, he spun the top because he's let go of his wife. It doesn't matter to him if it's real or not. Whereas, like, Billy last minute found out that he got everybody killed and then goes off to find Tommy, and we just never see whether he did it or not. That to me feels a bit lacking. I don't know. It's not there. If they'd ended this and he also didn't revive him, like, got to the end of the road and just didn't get what he wanted. He got what he wanted, but I'm not sure he got what he needed. I'm not sure what this show was actually trying to achieve. Like, at best, it was trying to build to Agatha and Billy build a connection, but straight up by episode 8, he's like, I don't trust you. And then by episode 9, he's like, I agree you didn't sacrifice yourself for me, go away. And then he's like, yeah, no, you are a bit like me, but it's like, it still feels like the show's still going, because their relationship, despite having helped each other at the end, still feels like two people helping each other out of obligation. And that's where they started. So it just doesn't feel complete to me. And that, yeah, is bothering me. And I think it's also bothering me more because so many episodes spent not upfront telling us what they wanted to begin with. So they introduced so late what they wanted that by the time I understood it comprehensively, it was kind of too late to jump on board and fully invest in what they then do with it. And then when you see what they do with it, like confronting death and whatnot, they then spent so much time still on Agatha's backstory, which felt like, again, passive, almost retread, but like a really well produced, really well shot, like just a good emotional scene. But it's like if you flash back to the start of Up in the climax. You know, that would have been really useful earlier, and it's a bit too late now. Yeah, so this felt very hit and miss. I don't want to say, there are definitely parts of it that I would say is bad, like I didn't like the first episode. But this had a lot of interesting ideas that was quite muddled by the time I got to the end of it. There are parts of it I really like, but I'm very confused by Death was in love with Agatha, of all people, when Agatha is like a power-stealing witch who antagonizes everybody. What did she like about her exactly? But then Agatha kisses her and dies, but then Billy needs her around, but then Billy doesn't want her around, and then they go off to do the thing I thought they were trying to do in the first place. It's quite messy. I don't know. The frustrating thing is it's almost like there's enough gaps where they could so easily do a sequel and elaborate and develop, and it would look like, well, this is just set up for that. But like we don't have that yet. So it feels like a lot of pieces where we got to know each character a little bit, and there's kind of an arc, and there's kind of a resolution, and there's kind of a relationship bonding, and it's kind of got a story. I don't know how to put it other than like it feels like it goes halfway. Like it has enough setup and payoff that I can happily not say that like I don't want to. There have been shows that I've watched and just gotten to the end and going, what was the point? I didn't care for any of that. It was boring. It was hollow. It was empty. And it's like this, they really sold that Agatha misses a child. They really sold that the witches want their powers back. They really sold that Billy is torn about his identity. But then, like, to what extent did they dig into the weeds and explore that third dimension of character? To what extent was the plot leaning on, ta-da, this character was that character, as opposed to actually getting to know the characters? Or how much of this plot was just dependent on each episode reveals one of the characters' actual character? And not, like, they revealed that one of them was seeing through time. But that's not a character trait. That's not a character motivation. That's not a character choice. That's just something that that character deals with. Like, that would be like getting to episode 7 and revealing that I have migraines. But that's not a personality thing. That's not, like, are you getting to know how I deal with the migraines? But if I just say, by the way, I have migraines, that's not anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, it feels like, to what extent were all the plot mysteries, as well seeded as they were, to what extent were they just shallow character X was really character Y twists? And to what extent were they actually retroactively deepening and layering our actual understanding of the characters and choices and arcs and emotional potency and things like that? Yeah, it's like, so this show was interesting, but I can't decide to myself whether it was interesting because of what it did or interesting because of what it didn't do. And again, I think it's halfway. It's interesting for what it did, but it's just as interesting for the parts that it didn't do, given what it had. Like, a lot of the stuff I'm noticing are purely because they had the setup for it, they had foundations, they had these secret agendas to build with, and then didn't fully... They committed to the hints and the foreshadowing, but they didn't commit to the consequences. I think that's where I'm getting at. Yes, the reveals and dilemmas were very interesting, but the characters' actions and consequences were lacking. I think that's what I'm landing on. But this is a show I'm sort of like, I'm intellectually invested, but not fully emotionally invested. And I think that's where I'm pulling up. There's just enough for me to grab onto, but just enough to pull me away. It's an odd hit and miss show. Those are my thoughts. This one was this is an unedited rambling that went for an hour because I really had to think about this. This is an interesting show to think about. but not necessarily an interesting show to emotionally invest in. Thanks for watching this if you did. Thanks for if you got all the way through this, because, you know, it sounds interesting to me as I'm thinking about it. I have no clue if it's interesting externally. And that's always the challenge with shows, to layer things in a way that you're intellectually comprehending, but also emotionally comprehending, and you get something out of it. I suppose I got something out of this, but how much of that was story theory on what it did and didn't do, and how much of this was enjoyment as a viewer? I do think it's the former, not the latter. Yeah. Bye.